What is up everyone, my name is Jasper and in today's video I want to go over how I'm going to prepare my website for an exit. Now in my previous videos and especially in my income report series I've been talking a lot about how I want to sell one of my websites. This is one of the sites where I'm just not pouring any attention into. I haven't done anything for that website for a year, and to this point it wasn't monetized yet, so it just sat there not doing anything. But it did grow very steadily, and in December it actually hit the 10,000 page views a month mark. Now still, even though it did reach the 10,000 page views a month, I do not plan on continuing on with this website. So I really just want to sell it and kind of recuperate all of my costs and make a little bit extra. Now I have never sold or bought a website before in my life, so this is a little bit new to me. But here are a few of the things that I am doing to prepare this website for a nice exit. So the very first thing I did is I started to focus on the monetization. And the easiest way to focus on monetization is by connecting your website to an ad network. Now this website is relatively small, so it does not have the page view requirements for either AdThrive or Mediafine, so Ezoic was my best option here. So I connected the website to Ezoic, which went pretty smoothly. It was a little bit more complicated than I remembered, but still it was pretty easy. So the thing with Ezoic is that you have to change your name servers to route them through Ezoic. So you change those to the one from Ezoic. I then also published my ads.txt file, so everything is just set up correctly. Ads are currently running on the website and they are making a very decent income. This website is currently in its low season, both for traffic and of course in RPMs, because we're in January. So I do expect to see the RPMs and the income rise a little bit. There's also one thing that was kind of weird. Ezoic kind of showed me the wrong numbers in the beginning. So I was seeing an RPM of $20, sometimes even $30 for a day. But now that I'm looking back at it, I am currently just averaging around 10. I see a lot of $5 and $6 RPM days. So it's not the 20 to 30 that I saw for a couple of days. That's a bit of a bummer because that really does bring the total income down. But still, I think it's a nice RPM. $10 RPM for the very first week in Ezoic, in the very worst month of the year. I think that's perfectly fine. Anyway, aside from Ezoic display ads, I also made some new video ads in Animoto and I published those to Ezoic and they are now up and running as well. So that should hopefully also boost the income by a bit. Now lastly, and this is the part that I'm currently working on, and that is finding affiliate links. Now for this website I have a couple of best X for Y articles and a couple of recommendations throughout the articles. So implementing these affiliate links I think would just make for a little bit of extra income, which kind of just bumps up the overall RPM of the website by just a little bit. Now there are two more things that I really want to do, but I'm not going to do as of now. But those are creating a profit and loss statement to just kind of show that this website makes this much, this is how much it costs to run for a year, and these are your profits. And I purely want to do that so that the buyer sees how much it costs to run this website. Aside from that, I do want to create a very extensive document, and this document is going to include a few things. So the very first is kind of sharing how I grew the site, what kind of methods I used, and how I found the articles that I found and how I'm going to write them. Just all kinds of basic information on how the site got to where it is right now. I will also give a slight breakdown in traffic numbers, so and primarily focus on which countries the traffic is coming from. So if I have a large portion from the UK, I want that to be known to the buyer. Because a lot of people are searching for websites with primarily US traffic. Maybe UK is also great as well, but I do want to be honest up front. So if I have a lot of visitors from a certain country, I do want the buyer to know that. And lastly, this document is going to include what I would do if I were to continue on with this website. So this is basically there to kind of show the buyer what this website can do and where the potential lies. Now luckily for this website it has a insanely large and broad niche, and I really only dialed down on a very specific thing so far. So I would honestly say that there are maybe 100 categories or silos that you can cover. I only covered one of those and I only covered it partially so far. So there's a lot of potential for this website. It's just not something that I want to tap in right now. But I do think that showing where the potential lies is really going to be beneficial. And one last thing that I am considering on doing is kind of changing the theme to make it look a little bit better. It's currently on Acabado, and although it's a fine theme, I am considering switching it over to another. I have recently bought the popcorn theme from Carl Brabant. Maybe I'm going to swap it to that one, maybe to something completely different. I'm not sure yet, but this is once again one of those things that I'm going to do down the road, because I am going to hold on to this website for at least a few months. So maybe you notice that I'm primarily focusing on improving the monetization, and there's one very simple reason for that. How much your site makes is one of the largest influences on how much you can sell your site for. I also don't really plan on working on the site anymore. I much rather focus my money and energy and attention into my other websites. But aside from that, there are two numbers that are extremely important to how much you can sell your site for. The very first one is a sort of factor, and this used to be about 25 to 40 at the high end. Currently it is more like 30 to 50 even. I've saw some sites go for a factor of 50, and that's just insane to see. I don't really expect to go to the factor of 50, but somewhere between 30 and 50 I think is a very reasonable estimate. And the other number is your monthly income. So this is usually an average from either 6 months if you have a non-seasonal site, or 12 months if you do have a seasonal site. But this average income is really just going to determine how much your site is worth, because the factor is kind of dependent on the market, but your actual monthly average income is something that you can influence. So for example, a website that makes $100 a month can be sold for about $3,000 to $5,000. Of course, a website that makes $1,000 a month can be sold for $30,000 to $50,000, and a site that makes like $4,000 a month can be sold for $120,000 to $200,000. So those are some pretty huge numbers, and that's mainly contributed to the kind of factor that we talked about earlier. But the other thing, how much money you make on average, is something you can influence, and that's why I'm currently going to work as much on that as possible. Now, of course, the factor that I mentioned from 30 to 50x is of course just an estimate. It can be much lower, it can be much higher, well, probably not higher, but it can definitely be a lot lower. And I think it has a lot to do with how your website is structured and what kind of website you have. If you have a website that requires a lot of active work, you maybe have a podcast to run, or a YouTube channel, or an email list, or something that you need to maintain, the factor will usually be a little bit lower. But if you have a purely passive website, let's say you have a website that just generates a lot of traffic and is only monetized with display ads, there is basically nothing you need to do to keep it running, and those kind of sites are as passive as they come, and they usually go for a higher multiple. So for me personally, I think that hopefully I can get somewhere between the 30 and 40 times multiple. I don't think I can get much higher than 40, simply because this is a newer website, it is a little bit seasonal. And I think that that's really just a 30 to 40 is a reasonable estimate. But my plan for the future is very simple. I said that I want to hold this website for at least a few months, and the main reason for that is that I don't want to sell my website based on numbers that are generated during the lowest quarter in terms of RPMs and during one of the down seasons for my niche. So I basically have the worst of both worlds instead of the best of both worlds. So I kind of want to hold for maybe 6 months, just so I can get some Q2 numbers in there instead of only Q1 numbers. And in the meantime, of course, while I'm holding this website, it is currently monetized, so I am able to recuperate some of my costs. But after a period of time, and after I see a monthly average income that I'm kind of happy with and that I know can sort of demand a certain factor or multiple, I am probably just going to sell this website, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I may just go ahead and search for a buyer directly, just so we can skip all the broker costs and broker fees. But if I can't find anyone, I might just go ahead and list it on some sort of online broker. And so far my preference has gone to Motion Invest. I'm not really sure why. They do have a 15% broker fee, I believe. But with the likes of Flippa, I know Flippa has so many scams on there. I just don't really want to deal with that. I don't think this website is large enough for something like Empire Flippers either. So my best bet is probably going to be finding someone directly, or just listing it on Motion Invest. I think those are my main two options right now. Maybe in the future I will see something else, but I think with these two I can most definitely sell this website. Anyway, that is what I'm going to do for this website, how I'm going to prep it for an exit. I actually really look forward to selling the website. It's a new experience for me, and it's pretty exciting actually. But that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.